With additional individuals coming forward each week, the mission of exposing Todddean and protecting any future victims became clearer with each passing day for both Jill and Roxy. And although these two women did share the same so-called villain, they couldn't be any more different from one another. But that is why they made such a great team. There's Roxy with an unparalleled ability to read people. And this woman would fight to the death to protect the ones she loved. And then Jill, a fearless and selfless woman who without hesitation put herself and well-being on the line in order to do what was right. While having different strengths, both women had something in common. They both possessed an admirable amount of inner strength to help fight and protect others.
Welcome to Ex-Wives Undercover.
Liars, cheaters, and Lovecons.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Athena.
First we told our story, and now we're sharing all of your craziest and most heart-wrenching stories of love gone wrong. Sometimes we laugh.
And sometimes we cry.
But more importantly, we stand together.
All right, girl. You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
The views, information, or opinions expressed on our show by our guests are solely the views of those individuals involved, and by no means represent absolute facts. Opinions expressed by the host and guests may change at any time. Our podcast and YouTube show may at times cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, violence. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. In the fall of 2022, Jill receives a text message from a woman named Roxy. Roxy explains that her best friend Kit was being financially preyed on by a man named Todddean. Roxy then asks if Jill would be willing to speak with her. Jill agrees, and the two jump on a call that day. Of course, both women could have never prepared themselves for what would transpire after that initial phone call. Let's just say that within a few weeks, #Toad Takedown was officially born.
Roxy and I hit it off as soon as we started talking. And she was contacting me for her friend, but it was like all of a sudden, she was my daily therapy. She understood what I was going through. She'd been there. So she wasn't judging me, and it was huge. So it was an immediate connection.
Jill had a hard time pulling away from Todd completely until one day when Roxy shared a very honest and personal story about the effects her past experience with a narcissist had on her and her children. And the story hit home big time, being that Jill is a mother as well. With everything that had transpired and with the multiple women who were encouraging Jill to cut Todd off, she finally did just that.
I still went back and hung out with him and then, did the back and forth. And then, I guess after a month, by Roxy's suggestion to block him, I blocked him. If Roxy had not been in the picture and gotten involved to help her friend, I don't know where we would be. I would probably still be shelling out money for all I know.
Roxy, you never judged her. You never made her feel judged. And I think that's really important because a lot of the times it does become frustrating to see that.
Yeah, I will add to that too, is it's that feeling of once your eyes are open, you're so excited, like, I get it now, I get it. And you want the next person to get it, but they're on their own timeline. And so it's frustrating. But then once you're like, okay, like it's going to take them a second, like, because you're just excited, like, why can't you see it? I see it now. And you just want to, get that point across. But I do want to ask you about, because I know people were starting to talk to you about narcissism. And once you were learning about it, could you go back and see Todd's behavior and see exactly what they were talking about?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Every single thing about it. I mean, it's I've read so much textbook, but every person that I've talked to, it's the same exact, everything falls exactly the same as it did with me. But yes, the gaslighting, the insults, everything.
In a lot of these episodes, we have spoken about Todddean being an angel investor. For clarification, let's talk about what an angel investor is. They are also known as a private investor, seed investor, or angel funder. And these people are usually high net worth individual people who provide financial backing for small startups or entrepreneurs, typically in exchange for ownership equity in the company. Now, the funds that the angel investor provides may be a one-time investment to help the business get off the ground or an ongoing injection to support and carry the company through its difficult early stages. After seeing Todd's amazing reputation online, you can only imagine the surprise for both Jill and Roxy after they run a background check on Mr. Dean.
What I noticed from the initial background search that I did before I ever even got in touch with Jill was in the Seattle area, there were like 2 pages of evictions. That's not normal, for an upstanding businessman. And then the more I read, I saw the judgment that Karen had against him. And I saw another judgment that was bought from an estate.
Okay.
Again in Sun Valley. And so I also saw that like in the early 2000s, he had some IRS issue, which all that to me just says, money problems.
You're absolutely right. That is a glaring red flag when a person who's supposed to be huge in the financial world, who people are trusting to give their money or to be inspired by during his seminars about investing, has evictions, multiple financial issues, judgments. Yeah. While Todddean looked like an absolute saint, in reality, Mr. Dean was targeting his next victims. Both Jill and Roxy knew that Todd had his sights set on Kit. Although Kit denied giving Todd money, Roxy now knew that was not the case. In fact, she now knew 100% without a doubt that Kit had given Todd thousands of dollars. And what better timing than during a road trip that Roxy and Kit would be taking to meet up with their best friend Carol.
We were driving and Kit said, well, I'm just going to have to tell you the truth now. I did loan him $25,000. And I can't say that I was surprised because I felt like she was hiding it from us anyway. Because originally she told me $5,000, leaving out that original $20,000. And so I just said, not surprised, but I said, tell me what happened. And she told me he needed it to pay some operating expenses, but his big investor was coming in the very next week and he was paying her right back. And he would pay her a little extra because she helped him out so much. That was September of last year. She still hasn't been paid back.
And while Todd believed that he was the main topic of conversation, he couldn't be more wrong. Because the truth was, these women went on this road trip to go surprise one of Roxy's friends, who just happens to be the longtime drummer for Brooks and Dunn. But of course, Todd, being paranoid because he was wrapped up in so many lies, made sure to ruin Kit's night, which in turn led her to have zero fun with her best friends. That was his plan all along. Todd loves to isolate his victims. It's easier that way to take their money.
This was the sole purpose of that trip. He started this new band in his hometown. And it was his first gig because he had just left Brooks and Dunn, but nobody knew it yet. On the way up there, Todd was texting Kit sort of feverishly. He wanted to keep her attention, obviously. Kit was not enjoying her time with us. Like, we went out to dinner, we had a glass or two of wine, and then she was like, I'm ready to go back to the room. And we're like, what? No, we're on a fun girls weekend. And so both nights, she just wasn't having a good time. It's so obvious because, look, we know Kit since the late 80s. So we know that she was being totally different.
Yes.
And it was because he wouldn't let up. He would kept texting. Oh, even while we were there, he was sending his good morning selfies and good night selfies.
Gross.
And, he just knew what he was doing. Yeah. So Carol and I, we didn't really want to talk about him. She knew everything that we felt about him.
That's good.
But also it was sad that she couldn't even enjoy herself, and it was because of him.
Oh, totally. He was creating drama on the phone with her and making it hard for her to enjoy herself. And they're really good at that. Men like him are so good at just ruining your time if you're away.
He wanted her to be distracted, just to keep him on her mind, so that she wouldn't maybe jump on our bandwagon. That really was his sole purpose.
Yeah, he was protecting his little piggy bank. That's what he was doing.
That's right.
By the end of this trip, Kit was well aware that there were other women involved with Todddean, including Jill. So, what was Kit's reaction? How did she respond?
But by that time, we had a good 20, maybe 25. That we knew about. We knew how many women he was sending selfies to, and the videos, and the good morning sunshine. When women would send us screenshots of that, I would send it to her because I wanted her to know. Kit's response was that Todd has told her everything. And she believes, what he had to say. I know you said you're special to him and your relationship is different, but look, it isn't. He's doing this, with so many other women. So she started to see it, but she didn't really want to acknowledge it.
She really fell into that trap of him, creating this facade that he was going to be a different man for her, or, maybe she wanted to believe that. Maybe she created it in her head. Maybe it was a combo.
Yeah.
Sad.
Probably I would say the combo for sure. I mean, we were showing her things that any other woman would recoil from him and just go, ew, but she was just smitten.
How could Roxy just sit back and do nothing about this? This was her best friend. She wanted to protect her. But no matter how hard Roxy tried, she could not get through to Kit. And this is when Roxy turns to Jill for help. Jill knew the power of Todd's manipulation. From early September to late November, Jill and Roxy conspired a plan to have Jill act as a double agent. And let's not forget that Todd was still unaware that the two women knew each other. So, the plan was to have Jill conversate with Todd as usual, and next, Jill would relay the information to Roxy, who would then carefully plant the seeds during her conversations with her best friend, Kit. The outcome was just as they had planned. Mr. Dean started to become paranoid, thinking that his condo was tapped or bugged.
You've been punked! You're finding it out on Ex-Wives Undercover.
No longer Team Todd.
How hard was it to keep your poker face and play double agent? I mean, I'm not good at it. We all know this by now. I was like, this is what's happening. Athena, on the other hand, is a badass. She knows how to do it. How hard was it for you?
Well, because I wasn't face to face with him, it was much easier, because I have been face to face with him when I was not telling the truth. And he was like looking me dead in my eyes, he's like, he was, but it was easier being on the phone and just not really communicating with him so much. And it was fucking hilarious. I mean, Roxy and I laughed and laughed and laughed. I mean, so it was fun because, to see someone squirm who's always the one who's doing all the manipulating. So I did it as long as I could. And I couldn't have continued being around him, but the last weekend that I had planned on seeing him, he shared with Kit that he was going to take my phone and go through it. And had he gone through my phone at that point in time, I can't imagine what he would have done. So I bailed then.
Wanting to warn others about Todd and his scandals, scheming, lies, and manipulation, these women bravely put Todd on blast. But they were not expecting the response. The massive outpouring of both men and women was absolutely shocking. The numbers started to escalate from 10s, 20s, 30s to hundreds of individuals that had been scammed by Todddean.
Shit was coming to light. You were finding out more and more and more, and it was getting worse and worse and worse about Todddean. So you guys put him on blast on specific social media, Facebook groups. And so how nervous were you about doing that? Because once you did, it kind of snowballed. And I mean, when I saw it, it was almost 1,000 comments. And so were you scared about legal ramifications? Was he threatening to sue? Any of that good stuff?
Oh, I mean, he's threatening to sue everyone except for me, because I did send him an email for our last contact and explained to him that if he contacted me, that it would be harassment per state law, blah, 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 blah. So he didn't contact, he sues, he gives legal threats to everyone except for me. So I don't know if I just felt like I felt like I was fucking untouchable, right? I mean, I was like, he can't touch me until he got me banned.
With the massive amounts of people coming forward who had also been scammed by Todddean, Jill decided to create a spreadsheet. A very detailed one, in fact. And at the time of this interview, she had approximately 70 individuals on this list. And as horrifying and shocking as that number is, after this podcast went live, that number escalated dramatically. What about the total dollar amount that Todd had scammed from all of these people? Well, again, at the time of the interview with Jill, it was around $2.5 million. So now a fair guesstimate would probably put the total closer to the $4 million mark. And I will bet that the FBI agent working on this case is very grateful for Jill's attention to detail while creating this spreadsheet.
So we already had, I don't know how many women on the spreadsheet, but we already had many women. Then someone else reached out to me, and on the group, Are We Dating the Same Guy, Nashville? Someone posted Todddean, his pictures. So, of course, she invited me to the group. I invited Roxy. Fucking hell broke loose. We invited anyone that we could think of. I would post a new video or a new disgusting picture. I mean, how often? I mean, it was literally a job for us at one point in time, because it was pure entertainment.
They say you can tell something about someone, their personality, by the way they eat corn. What do you think?
And it was constant that we were getting messages, and I don't know how it was 24/7 almost is what it felt like. You know, Roxy, take over here, or Jill, take over. Yeah, I haven't updated my sheet, and of course we can probably add at least 5, maybe 10. I don't know how many more, but there is over 70 women. I've broken it down into victims that he's met in person, victims he's not met in person, only online, ones that he had sex with. I mean, and everyone shares this. Ones that he asked for money, they said no. Women that he gave money to. It's not that he does not ask men. I've heard him ask men. It's just easier for him to convince women than it is a man.
Yeah.
But yes, and that list continues to grow. It's insane. It's disgusting.
How many of these individuals scammed by Todddean actually had legal contracts, or even just a promissory note? Jill did have a very detailed spreadsheet, and we were curious to know if she had noted that information on the spreadsheet as well.
Did he ask for money in any kind of legal way? Was there, paperwork signed by anybody, or was it sending people to the bank for cash like he did with Jill? Angel investors don't just ask for money. There's a legal way to do it, and a documentation, or, there's a legal way to document when you have money that's investment for you know what I mean? So did anyone say at any point, I did it through this appropriate channel?
Yes. There's promissory notes. There's several legal documents, but there's more not documents than there are. But they are out there.
But a promissory note is not the same as a legal angel investor type document.
It could hold up in court if it's signed. Some states and some judges will hold you accountable if you do that.
There's so much more. It's not that simple, especially for a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art facility.
I decided to go back and really do a deep dive to find out all of the legal facts regarding these legally binding contracts, promissory notes, and even legally binding text messages. I was very happily surprised with what I found. So, what exactly is a promissory note? A promissory note may also be referred to as an IOU, a loan payment, or just a note. It is a legal lending document that says the borrower promises to repay to the lender a certain amount of money in a certain time frame. And this kind of document is 100% legally enforceable and creates a legal obligation to repay the loan. Let's go over what you should include when drafting up your own promissory note. It should obviously include the names and addresses of the lender and the borrower, the amount of money being borrowed, and what, if any, collateral is being used, how often the payments will be made, and in what amount. And then signatures of both parties in order for the note to be enforceable. Adding detailed information is a great idea as well, or any other things that you feel could protect you if things did go wrong with repayment.
And I've talked to several people that when they start probing for those questions, he can't answer. And, he'll say, he skirts around it, and he just, whatever he's seen on the internet, he'll say, due diligence, and you'll get more money. That's about what comes out of his mouth. Pay me now, and that's it. But he truly doesn't know what he's doing.
Right? Like, you don't mix business and pleasure. So trying to date someone and then asking for money. If he is what he says he is, and he's had this long, glorious career in investing and money and wealth management, he should know better than to mix those two. You don't date someone on Friday and Monday ask them for money.
The fake facade that Todd had put on for so long in so many states and for so many people was crumbling. Todd was losing control. First, he tries to attempt to talk to Jill. Instead, he leaves her threatening voice messages about taking down the social media posts.
Hey Jill, I'm trying to prevent you from getting into trouble, so please take down all the comments on all social media platforms in reference to me, my name, my pictures, my videos. Delete them all or you're going to be in trouble. I'm trying to tell you because I care. So delete those immediately and let me know as soon as they're deleted, because I'm going to go back and check. Thank you.
It seems like everything was kind of crumbling down around him. He knew that somebody was sharing information with me, and I was sharing with Kit. We were Roxy. So he was pissed. He sent several videos, and I can't remember exactly what it was that truly scared me. One point in a text, he says, "Come to my property. I want to talk." And then the next one was, I've got cameras on the property. Don't come to the property, And so he kept going back and forth, but he wanted to talk to me. And I meant to text Kit something that I had shared, and I texted Todd. And so, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm really going to fuck up. So I got to get out. I just really didn't know what he was capable of, and I guess too, it was kind of finally like, this means it's done. I'm done. It's over.
Next, Roxy would receive a plethora of text messages.
He had his spy in those women's groups that screenshotted things to him. And so I don't think at first I'd posted anything, but I always had a lot of comments, but
Yeah.
because he knew that I was really he knew I was going for him because of Kit from the very beginning. So he did make his threat. I think he and I texted a bit, and I just laughed at anything he had to say, because what did I do? I didn't do anything. I know the law, buddy, and I knew there was no arrestable offense that took place. But I can't tell you how many times he's told me, I'll see you in court. Oh, I have a text from him that said, and then when you go to jail, I'll bring you a cake. Just
oh my gosh.
Who was that? Yeah. And then when he went to court with the other, the first time he went to court, he took Kit with him because that was his witness for the alleged stalker.
Oh,
right?
Gosh.
After that day was over in court is the first time he's spoken to me face to face.
Oh my goodness.
And it was hilarious. His exact words were, Roxy, why do you have such a hard on for me?
Oh,
and I said, oh,
he's so gross.
I was like, bleh.
Oh my gosh.
I said, I have talked to so many women now. And I said, you're just a con man. You're just a user and a con man. I told that to his face. And he said, well, you haven't talked to all the women who wouldn't say that about me. And I said, you're right, because I haven't found any yet. So then Kit goes, so do you see, Roxy, that he could be a nice guy? Like if he wasn't saying those bad things to you, don't you think that he could be like a nice guy? Do you see his charm? And I was like, I want to slap you right now. What are you talking about? No, she was just talking. She was still seeing him through those,
rose-colored glasses.
Well, I said, to tell you the truth, I cannot stand the sound of his voice.
Yeah, no way.
Because she used to make me watch the videos in the very beginning when they started dating. And that was the first thing I said was, ew, I hate his voice. Like he rubbed me all the wrong way from the get-go.
When Todd's attempts fail with both Jill and Roxy, he decides to respond directly to the comments posted on Facebook. For every honest and truthful comment made on his Sanjara Facebook business page, Todd would attempt to defend himself and then end just about every comment he left with God bless, as if that made him sound like a good person. Come on, Todd, we all know it's a little too late for that. Next, I ask Roxy how she thinks Mr. Dean will react once he finds out about the podcast. And this is what she had to say.
I think there's going to be a flurry of him trying to take everybody to court. I mean, it's kind of the only thing he knows to do, right? Yeah. He's not that clever.
Yeah.
His brain is just stuck in that one, gear.
So true.
And so he won't be able to. And I don't think he, to this point, has any idea extent of the information that we have uncovered about him. He's just in his little narcissist, nobody will find anything out world,
So true.
So it's going to be, I would give anything to be a fly on the wall or have somebody record his reaction.
We asked Jill if she knew of any other alleged sexual assaults that we were not yet aware of. This is when Jill tells us about what happens between Todddean and his housekeeper.
How horrified were you when you learned about this? And did you ever see this side of him?
The housekeeper, I didn't find that out until recently. So, no, I was not surprised. I was humiliated, that it's just disgusting. And he just preys on someone who couldn't do anything. So the first time that I spoke to her, she was staying at the house and he didn't pay her like he doesn't pay everybody. So she moved out. She had messaged him a couple of times asking for her money, $4,500. He threatened her with Border Patrol the first time via text. December, January, everything has just happened so quickly. I reached out to her again. She did not want to participate because, again, he allegedly sexually abused her. And that also, I have that in text as well. And he threatened her with her citizenship after he allegedly sexually abused her. So she's absolutely scared to death to even say anything to anyone because he's already let her know, you'll be gone. She and I have met since she's been back, and she still receives shit from him still.
It's disgusting, and he's abusing his position of power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she is too scared because she is not a citizen, correct? So he's
kind of threatening. Now she is in the process. She's got her work permit. So she's doing everything correct and how it's supposed to be done. She was also afraid about her sons knowing. I think eventually she will talk because she doesn't want this to happen to someone else.
Jill, can you tell everybody kind of how you helped her get away? Because she obviously needed a job.
Yeah, so his housekeeper and I, of course, we were in contact when I was still talking to Todd and not talking to him. So I work for a staffing agency, and once she got her work permit, she actually came in and applied, and we've got her a great job. She's making, it's everything is working out for her.
I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah,
I love that women coming together.
Yes.
Someone away from the grips of an abuser like that, and it had a happy ending, and she doesn't have to stay at a job where she's being abused.
Yes. And, so for whatever reason, that, we were brought together, we were, and able to help, it's just, we've just banded together, and it really is amazing. It really, really is.
During my interview with both Roxy and Jill, I asked why they believed Kit stayed, even after she had found out all of the disgusting things Todd had done. Roxy's response was based on the events that were happening approximately 2 months ago. If there's anything that might actually change her mind, what would it be to make her walk away from this?
Okay, well, I have some factual answers to that because a couple weeks ago, I sent her some more screenshots of some other women, new ones that have come forward. So now she knows that's vast, This one was like, he's so disgusting. I didn't even talk to him. He kept sending me things on Messenger. And so she was like, he's gross and blah, blah, blah. So I sent that to my group with Kit and Kim. And then Kit called me outside of the group. She sounded a little defeated. She said, I know I don't like seeing all these things that you send me, but I know that I need to. Yeah. She said, I know that he isn't good. And she, it's part of her was still believing Sanjara was going to open. And I think she's been very slow to come to the realizations, but yeah, she knows. And so her birthday was April 14th, and there happened to be a poker game that night. Okay. So she said that the people brought her a cake, and they went in the back and put candles on it. And Todd came out and brought the cake, put it in front of her to blow out candles. And they all sang happy birthday. But she said, when I got home that night, he sent me a text that said, you're acting really differently towards me. And she's not feeling it anymore. She said, okay, I'm actually to the point now where he is disgusting when I look at him. Yay! I know. Mission accomplished.
Unfortunately, things have changed since then. As of the first week of June 2023, Kit is still in a romantic relationship with Todd. Sadly, we've had other women reach out who are currently also in a romantic relationship with Todd. So what exactly is it that mesmerizes all of these women? Amber asks Jill why she believes that Kit, or any other woman for that matter, so easily falls under this man's spell.
Jill, can you explain why you believe that Kit is still mesmerized by Todd, and what is it about him that hypnotizes women into sticking around? It's not the videos. It's not the videos. I can't believe that. No, I mean, it has to be something that he makes you feel a certain way. It's got to be something.
Y'all, he's full of shit.
What do you mean no more selfies? That'd be like the sun's not coming up tomorrow.
Why do I think Kit is mesmerized by him?
Or anybody, because he keeps getting them. So
yeah,
what is it? He's not the best looking. He's not the richest. He's not the smartest. He's not anything. So what the hell is it?
And people ask me that too. You know, they're like, I mean, was the sex that good? I'm like, no. And you know, he keeps that from you too. I don't know. He's mastered it though, because he's fooled so many. And so I can remember when, you know, because I thought whenever he was sending me those pictures, those selfies at concerts and stuff, you know, I was like, he does all this stuff by himself. He is so amazing. And so, which, you know, he wasn't by himself. But so, and I thought that was really cool, you know, and so I went to the beach by myself, and it was so invigorating. And I'm like, look at me by myself. but I really was at the fucking beach by my damn self. And I went back to him and I was like, it's really amazing. I did it too. And I see what's like it.
He's inspiring.
He inspired me to do all this stuff. I mean, I started listening to music again. He knows whatever makes people tick. I don't fucking know, but it's gross. He is a good salesman. Yes. Those underwear videos or those underwear pictures that he sent to everybody and their brother, you know, like he's doing the sinker, but it's in his Speedos. I don't know.
I mean, I showed Athena the freaking YouTube in his Speedo. Jesus.
The one thing I could not, and I still cannot put my finger on, I think I might have had a nightmare about it last night, was why the hell was he on his stomach in a 6-inch deep water fountain swimming on his stomach in that?
Oh my God!
His face in the water.
I mean, you guys, like him standing there gazing in the sun, and then he pulls down his pants to the Speedos.
Amber was screen sharing, so I couldn't hear it. So I go, I don't know what's fucking happening or what he's saying in this video. But why all of a sudden you go from shorts to a Speedo, and why is he laying on his stomach in a kiddie pool fountain?
It's like David Hasselhoff.
And he's comparing himself to Michael Phelps. Did you? I mean, Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
No, it's so bad.
Oh, was it an inspirational speech? Because I still
it was supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
He was comparing like his woes of having to swim in that horrible little fountain.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Before airing the first episode of this podcast, I did reach out to Mr. Dean and wanted to get his take or his comments on any part of this story. Todddean did not respond back to me. However, I have been told by multiple sources that he is listening to the podcast, maybe even watching the YouTube videos. With that said, Todd, we would like to extend an invitation to you to come on the show and clear up anything that you feel has been said about you that is untrue or not factual. And Kit, if you are listening, please know that you are not alone. So many of us have walked in your shoes. It's not too late. You can end this, you can walk away, and you can choose you. With that said, we will end this episode with a bit of advice from Jill.
Also, if what you're doing, you're not telling the people that you would normally tell, something's fucking wrong. You know, I mean,
yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Good point. Next time on Ex-Wives Undercover, we are going to do a deep dive into Sanjara Wellness Center. So thank you, Todddean, for making Amber's job a bit easier on this episode because you so graciously listed all of the board members on your website. And that made it much easier for Amber to contact each and every one of them. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more shady, grab your bucket of popcorn for next week's episode and get ready for jaw-dropping entertainment. And once again, if you like what you're hearing, please leave us a 5-star review and make sure to join our private Facebook group for even more juicy info. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And of course, you can always visit our site at www.exwivesundercover.com.